Greetings, everyone. Well, the holiday Blu-ray updates continue. Now, last time I hinted that there was a little something that I bought that's kind of part of the horror section, kind of part of the sci-fi section. It's up to you to decide, really. I just generally put it in the horror section because there's, I mean, there are sci-fi elements to it, but it's more, its origins are more from the horror genre, so I just kind of like to keep it in there. But yeah, I jokingly said that some of you will probably think a lot less of me for having bought it. Well, whatever. So what am I talking about? Well, you'll just have to wait until after the titles, and then we'll take a look. Yeah, so horror Blu-rays. Well, some of the horror Blu-rays I picked up. We'll take a look at the rest of them in another video. Today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Well, since I built this particular one up so much, I think we'll save it till the end of the video. Haha! Yeah. Of course, the sneaky among you are probably just going to skip ahead. It's like, oh, I'm just going to skip ahead and see what it is. Oh, it's that. Okay, I'm going to go back and watch the first 3 minutes and then stop watching. Yeah, I know all about my audience retention. Whatever. I know the real fans actually watch the whole darn thing. Okay, so let's start with the ones that you will think more of me for, because they're good. First off, let's take a look at a couple of horror classics here that I picked up. This one I've been wanting to get for a while. I haven't actually owned it on any format since the days of VHS, when I had, I think, the first 3 of them on VHS. I thought I had the first 4, but no, I didn't actually. I rented 4 and 5 of this particular horror franchise series, but I only ever actually owned the first 3. I am, of course, talking about John Carpenter's classic slasher flick, the original Halloween. Now, sadly, I know Halloween 2 and 3 recently got really super beautiful deluxe editions from Scream Factory. I have held those editions in my hand, and I plan to get them very soon, because whenever I watch the first Halloween, I like to carry on and go straight into the second one, because the second one, of course, picks up like 2 seconds after. Well, it actually picks up parallel to the ending of the first one, so it just carries on right there. And I always like that one. And the version of the theme in the second one is actually my favorite version of the theme out of all of them. But yeah, so this isn't a bad little edition. It's nothing. There have actually been DVD editions and Laserdisc editions that have more robust extras. But it has a decent little extras package here. We've got audio commentary with writer-director John Carpenter, actress Jamie Lee Curtis, and producer Deborah Hill. That alone is worth the price of admission. I mean, pretty much any commentary with John Carpenter is incredibly entertaining, because the man's just really a really interesting guy and very enthusiastic about his work, and always a joy to listen to. And you have Fast Film Facts, whatever that is. Halloween, a cut above the rest featurette. Trailer, TV spots, and radio spots. Now, the one thing I'm kind of disappointed about is it doesn't seem to make any mention of there being any extras related to the extended television cut. The television cut I remember seeing a number of years ago on television, and while it is obviously heavily censored, you don't see Michael's sister's boobies, for example, and some of the violence has been toned down. But the one thing I liked about the television cut and the additional scenes in there is you get a little bit more background about Michael and about how he was screwed up as a kid and stuff like that. You get to see him, when he was in the early days, when he was in the care of Dr. Loomis and stuff like that. And there's just a lot of little bits in there, and some fairly lengthy additional scenes that are not in the theatrical version. And I would love to see like a definitive, I'm sure there's a fan edit out there somewhere, but I'd like to see an official release of like a definitive edit incorporating the additional scenes of the TV version with the theatrical version, all nicely, remastered for Blu-ray. But yeah, for now, I guess the only way we can sort of have that is by getting multiple editions, kind of like another horror franchise that I picked up recently. I got the second one fairly recently, as you will know. I got it around Halloween, and I've been wanting to pick up the first one for quite some time. Well, I finally got it from 1982, which was just a glorious, glorious year for genre fans. We have The Evil Dead. Yes, the original Evil Dead from 1982, which apparently is getting a remake. And fans are cautiously optimistic about the remake. I think it does have the at least peripheral involvement of Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. I was gonna say Bruce McDonald for some reason. I was like, what the hell? That's not, or Bruce McCullough. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah. So Evil Dead, very nice. Got the disc art there. This one, in terms of extras, now some of you may be saying, "Oh, you didn't get the 2-disc version. You didn't get the 2-disc version." I have the 2-disc version. The 2-disc version is so much better. Yeah, well, you know what? The 2-disc version. All the 2-disc version has is extras that have been released previously. Well, I just show this because it's cool. It's the Book of the Dead edition. But all the extras on the 2-disc version, it's just a DVD of stuff from this. So why would I need that when I have this? And in fact, this has more extras than your precious 2-disc version. So get stuffed. Yeah. Anyway, Evil Dead. I've not actually sat down and watched these yet. Unfortunately, I just haven't had time. I mean, holidays, working. I'm still working a lot. There's a lot of catch-up to do and stuff. So, yeah, fun stuff. But I hope to be able to sit down and have some movie nights fairly soon. But, I mean, that's not what Boxing Day is all about. Boxing Day and Christmas is just about amassing stuff that you will then watch over the course of the next year until the next Boxing Day. So that's cool. So one thing that is cool about this, however, is it does have an all-new audio commentary with writer-director Sam Raimi, producer Rob Tapert, and star Bruce Campbell. So there you go. And it looks like that's the only extra on here, actually. This is a very bare-bones edition, so I guess those of you who don't have the Ultimate DVD edition, by the way, this 3-disc edition is out of print now. You can still see the Ultimate edition kicking around, but it's not the 3-disc version, so... Yeah, I was actually pretty lucky to grab this when I did because it went out of print fairly soon afterwards. It seems to be my luck with a lot of things. Yeah. And next up, speaking of Scream Factory, as you may recall, I recently received Terror Train from a very generous viewer. And it kind of made me hungry for more Scream Factory releases, and I noticed some of the stores around town do carry at least a few of them, such as Halloween 2 and 3 is over at the local HMV, and I'd really like to get my hands on. I think it's about $20 each, which is, you know, pricey, but they are premium editions. I mean, beautiful collector's packaging and stuff like that. So there was another one that Scream Factory put out that I've really been wanting to get. Another John Carpenter classic, They Live. Now, this is actually a sticker on the slipcover but I'm not going to remove that sticker because if you've seen the movie, you get the joke. I'm not going to explain more than that. So this is, of course, a slipcover. It's quite nice. There we go. Have good old Roddy Piper in his motion picture debut. We also have Keith David and... what's her face? Meg Foster. I was going to say Meg Griffin? No. Meg Tilly? No. Meg Griffith? No. Meg Foster is one of the many Megs of the 80s. So this has a lot of extras on it. I have actually checked out some of the extras. We've got audio commentary with director John Carpenter and actor Roddy Piper, a new interview with director John Carpenter, making of They Live, theatrical trailer, TV spot, and more. Yeah, there's actually quite a lot of good stuff on here. If you're wondering, it is region locked to region A. At least it says so on the packaging. If it really is, I don't know. I don't have any means of testing that. So if we take a look inside, we have this beautiful newly painted artwork. And they've been doing that for pretty much all their releases, doing these beautifully beautiful commissioned new painted covers that really evoke the the flavor, that retro flavor, And then inside we have the disc art. And if you look underneath, this is one of the things that's cool about it. If you look underneath, it is actually a reversible cover. And underneath, let's actually slip it out and give you a proper look here. So underneath you actually have a cover that basically just reproduces the original poster artwork, which is pretty cool. But so very nice work, Shout Factory. Very nice work indeed. And the pictures on the rear side of the case are a little bit different as well. So very, very cool. I'm definitely liking the stuff that Scream Factory's been putting out. And as I think I said when I found Terror Train in that package, I want all of them. A, because there's a lot of old favorites in the collection, and B, because there's actually a lot of cult classics that I've heard about for years but never actually seen. And so I think it would be a nice way to sort of kill two birds with one stone and check out a lot of cult classics that I've never been able to find or just haven't got around to watching before. And also have beautiful collector's editions of some old favorites. So there you go. I'm sure there's definitely respect here. I mean, this is good stuff. This is the kind of stuff no self-respecting horror fan should not have in their collection. They Live would be one of those ones, that kind of crosses the line, rides the line between horror and sci-fi. It is kind of horror-y, but it's also kind of sci-fi-y. A little bit of, you got the paranoia, obviously, and the conspiracy type stuff going on, and it's just a really fun movie, and I definitely recommend you check it out if you have not. I actually originally saw this in the theater. Yeah, I was lucky enough, back when I was a teenager and got it to the theater a lot more often. I did actually see that one in the theater. Now, last, but most certainly not least, what is this one for which we will lose all respect for Sean? Well, no, I've hyped it up way beyond what it actually is. I had to get this because I've got the previous four. What else could it be? The sci-fi horror epic masterpiece from film maestro Paul W.S. Anderson, starring his super hot girlfriend, wife, whatever, Mia Jovovich. Resident Evil, Retribution. There you go. I can never remember what all the subtitles are. And this, of course, is the Steelbook edition, which you knew I was going to get. This should come as no surprise to you whatsoever. Of course I was going to get the Steelbook of this. There we go. Pretty nice. Now, the Steelbook editions are not the 3D version. I will probably grab the 3D version when I'm rich. Until then, I'm in no hurry, especially given that I don't actually have a 3D TV. So if we just move all this stuff out of the way, here we go. Let's get the real stuff going on here. All right, so we got Resident Evil Retribution. That's number 5. We got Afterlife, number 4. Extinction, number 3. Apocalypse, number 2, and then number 1. There you go. So the complete collection thus far in Steelbook form. There is a 6th movie already in the works, apparently, and hardcore Resident Evil game fans who hate the movies can breathe a heady sigh of relief in knowing that it is apparently going to be the last one in the film saga. After that, maybe a reimagining by somebody else, I don't know. But whatever the case may be, the saga of Alice will be over as of the 6th movie. And I hear, and there was much rejoicing. Yeah, no, I enjoy the Resident Evil movies. Now, I had a comment recently that someone felt that the fact that I like the Resident Evil movies makes me a bit of a hypocrite, and that he felt he was seeing a bit of a double standard on the part of Zarin Izarak because I criticized the Transformers movies as being just stupid popcorn movies with no substance to them, whereas that's essentially what these are. But there's a big difference, okay? There's a big difference, and I'll see if I can explain this in ways that You will understand. Resident Evil, the games and the movies come from the background of cheesy B-movie fun. Okay, zombie movies and just B-movie stuff. And in that, the movies deliver. You know, they may not follow the plot of the game saga word for word. No, of course they don't. They can't. I talked about that back when I did my video about the first 4 Steelbooks. But there's enough nods to elements from the games that I really don't get why so many fans hate them so much. You know, I mean, you cannot realistically expect the game story to be put on film. If all you want is the game story, play the game. You know, the movies are just meant to be a bit of fun with some nods to the game, but telling its own story set in that world or that type of, you know, well, in that world. Basically not that type of world, but in that world. Whereas the Transformers, a lot of people think, I've had comments from people saying, oh, well, the Transformers doesn't have any depth. The original cartoon was just about the Decepticons trying to steal a bunch of Energon cubes. Woo, so much depth. It's like, okay, people who think that clearly did not watch the show or read the comics or immerse themselves in the almost 30-year history of lore of the Transformers franchise. There is far more to it than just trying to steal a bunch of freaking Energon cubes. Okay, so this is the big difference. Resident Evil comes from B-movie origins, and the movies are true to those origins, even if they don't follow the game plot word for word. Transformers, on the other hand, the reason I'm so pissed off about the Transformers movies is because Transformers do not come from B-movie origins. They come from science fiction origins. Yeah, the first couple seasons were a little bit on the cheesy side and sort of had their lighter moments. But then you watch the 1986 animated movie and the episodes that followed that, it gets into some really dark, serious sci-fi areas that, to me, elevated it far beyond its toy origin roots and presented a compelling and interesting science fiction saga. And then you get into the comics, especially when Simon Furman came over from the UK and started writing the American comics. It just went off in some like amazing directions, just really deep, rich, interesting lore. And then on top of that, the movies invent characters. Now, some people complain about that with Resident Evil, the fact that they invented the character of Alice for the movies. And I suppose that's a legitimate complaint, but here's the thing. The games all feature different characters. You know, they all feature different characters. There's very few games. I mean, yeah, some characters cross over from one game to the other, but for the most part, it's all different characters in like every game. You know, you got the Redfields and the Valentines and freaking everybody. I mean, it's just there's so many different characters in that. To have the movies focus on one character or one set of characters from the games would do a disservice to the fans of the other characters. So why not have a new neutral character and then have all the other characters from the games show up as guest characters from time to time? And that's exactly what they did. I don't see the problem in that. And I think if you have a problem with that, you're taking things way too fucking seriously and putting way too much stock in what Resident Evil actually is. But Transformers is far more than just a cartoon based on a toy and Decepticons running around looking for Energon cubes. No. The other thing I was going to say regarding characters is, and what pissed me off about the movies, is the movies invented all these characters and they didn't have to. I mean, the Transformers has always been about having a huge roster of characters. And why invent more when you've got literally hundreds upon hundreds of characters over the past 30 years that you could draw upon for that? And then you, not only that, but you invent characters that are downright offensive to people. Like, they're not funny, they're just offensive, you know, and that's just stupid. Bottom line. So no, dear viewers, it is not a double standard that I dislike the Transformers movies but enjoy the Resident Evil movies. The two cannot be compared. They, just because they're based on genre stuff does not put them in the same league or mean that you can judge them both by the same criteria. You can't. They're not the same thing. There is such a thing as having a fun, cheesy popcorn movie that's perfectly innocent or whatever. But when you're taking a franchise that has a long history to it and well-established lore, you don't want to be crapping all over that, because you're just going to piss off the core fan base that has kept that franchise alive for that whole time. Now, some may argue that the same thing has happened with Resident Evil. Like, I know there's a lot of fans out there who just despise these movies. But I know a lot of other fans who love the games and love the movies. They just enjoy them as cheesy fun. Are they high art? Hell no, of course not. They're not meant to be. Neither are the games. Okay? You're running around shooting zombies. Don't try to tell me there's more plot than that, because there isn't. Okay? Yeah, you got Umbrella, Evil Corporation, conspiracies. Great. Fun stuff. But don't take it so damn seriously, because it's not a serious thing. Okay? Anyway, I guess we all have to be passionate about our fandom, don't we? But it's also about a matter of perspective. Transformers fans really were crapped on with those movies. Resident Evil fans, I don't feel that you have been crapped on with these movies. And that's all I have to say about that. Argue away in the comments, because I know you will. Alrighty. That's it from me to you for now, folks. So until next time, when we will take a look at the rest of the horror Blu-ray acquisitions, that's it from me to you for now. So sayonara. Did that sign off kind of sideways, but whatever. See you next time.